Hi, my name is Hamza bin Kashif, and today I'll tell you about how I've spent the last decade or so in the trenches of HR in fashion retail over here in Pakistan. Let's just say I've experienced my fair share of trauma over the top trends and behind the scenes antics that were, to put it mildly, some very dicey decisions. But my purpose for this meeting, I am here to apply for the position of Chief Ethical Officer for Abercrombie and Fitch. This brand is a case study in how to mishandle item after item. They've been through so many scandals, so many attempts at a reinvention. Right now, I honestly feel like they're at a crossroads. This is as real as it gets for me. I am presenting to you the corporate ethnography. What did they get wrong and right at A&F? Where do they currently sit? And if I were the driver's seat, how I'd take the wheel. White hot, the A&F is in the title. We'll discuss it. We'll apply a little ethics theory. Relax. I'm not going to lecture you, and I'll suggest pragmatic ideas that are not for the cameras, that will make A&F genuine and earn the trust of the people. Let's get going. In this slide, I'm going to tell you why I'm the best candidate for this job. First off, the hire I made was an HR manager, so I was an HR manager, far from dull. I've had to call out ropey hiring, chase down supplier dodging, fair pay, and deal with complaints no one wanted to deal with. What makes me a killer fit for this job is that I've actually made tough calls. Like that one time I had to blow a supplier partnership because they were stiffing their workers. It was a painful decision because it was a partnership that cost us time and money. You gotta admit though, no one, if they truly value the health of the business partnerships, would make a decision that won't let them sleep at night. My rule book, it's a mix. Courage is virtue ethics. Be a decent human and lead with guts. You can't avoid doing the right thing. Life is messy, but with those two, I am real. I am. Real ethics is not some duty policy binder. It's about people, actual accountability, real respect, and telling your team they matter. That's what I'd bring to A&F, no questions. So in this slide, I'm going to tell you about the White Hot documentary. Talk about going in for the kill. It's not only A&F's messy history, it serves as a wake-up call for the entire industry. Under the Mike Jeffries, the brand essentially blared, if you're not white, thin, and all American, you don't belong. Forget about getting hired or even appearing in the ads. Lawsuits started surfacing, old employees began telling all. It all reeked of cool kid club gone toxic. For the brand I perceived as hypocritically cool, the documentary opened my eyes towards the toxic mentality A&F had built over years. A brand culture that shut people out rather than invite them in. That's the kind of disaster an organization's chief ethical officer is supposed to work on. A problem the rest of us watching it on the screens were shaming him for was the A&F employees starting their day desperate to find a way out of that place needed to wake up to. As it was said by O'Keefe, discrimination was their brand. The quote is wow, just straight blindsiding. He explained how black and Asian employees were openly hired but then scheduled, quite literally boxed away where they couldn't fit. It's astounding, but this was true. Over and over, not just one time oops, but then there's out of the box factor. The flow of this is just how things are. The director jumps between the glossy ads and the raw interviews. The ads and the interviews are jaw dropping. I can't look away. With the companies I worked for, I saw the harsh truths they accepted and changed. Those shifts. Unforgiving to navigate, but that's where ethics begin. Owning up to the dirt you've done. Abercrombie and Fitch's past reminds me a lot of what happened with H&M in 2022. H&M launched its conscious clothing line claiming it was sustainable, but investigations showed many of those claims were misleading. That's greenwashing, promising something ethical without the evidence to back it up. A&F's case was different in content, discriminatory hiring and exclusionary branding, but similar in principle. In both situations, there was a big gap between the image they sold to the public and the reality behind the scenes. Stakeholder theory from Edward Freeman says brands must protect the interests of all key groups customers, employees, communities. Both A&F and H&M fell short. Friedman's shareholder view might defend the short term profit focus, but both show that breaking trust can hurt profits long term. B Corp certification is often treated like a gold star for ethical business. It treats businesses, people management, environmental conservation efforts, and profit making triple bottom line as a single goal. And while that sounds lovely, but as the article from the conversation started, B Corp isn't a cure. Some companies hide behind it, pretending to be ethical. They brand themselves as B Corp certified, audit, and press the necessary checks but never changed the culture and business behind the company. For A&F, I say yes, but only if they really make the effort. That is, legal accountability, limited scope contracts, independent reviews, and complete disclosure on their supply chains and employment processes. If they strap it on as a marketing gimmick, pretending to care while company X actually does the opposite, it can backfire. But if they really try to learn, grow, and become more ethical, it could serve as the gasoline to the fire they need to make it happen. Is ANF suddenly this ethical shining star? Well, not quite. I'll give them credit for moving in the right direction. Thanks to Fran Horowitz, the marketing industry no longer feels like a high school cliche, and there are more varied models and a lot fewer exclusionary feelings. The Mike Jeffries show is definitely not airing. However, we shouldn't give out gold stars just yet. Yes, everything that is visible appears better, but what about what is hidden from the view? Radio silence persists regarding pay disparities, manufacturing conditions, and whether they ever made an effort to assist those who were harmed by their previous policies. That White Hot documentary's direction, Alison Clayman, was spot on. Looks better on the outside, but who knows if they've actually faced their ugly history. Honestly, if you want to lead ethically, you have to deal with your past straight up. Can't just slap on a new coat of paint and call it a day. That's where I'd step in. Okay, so here is what I would do if I were given the microphone by ANF. Create a restitution fund for former workers who were harmed by all of that discrimination. I'm referring to genuine assistance such as mentoring, therapy, and possibly even financial support if necessary. Is it audacious? Definitely. However, healing is not inexpensive or simple. Get a transparency dashboard online on their website as the second step. No more evading scrutiny with ambiguous claims. Provide us with the data, who you are hiring, the performance of the factory, and the appearance of your ethics scorecard. Real time, not a spin, nor is this a publicity gimmick. Nowadays, people are able to spot BS at a distance. You must have the courage to win the loyalty of both your customers and your own staff. You have to be brave enough to show the disorganized stuff too. Do those two things. Acknowledge where you messed up and be honest about where you are now. That's how you go from follower to leader in ethical fashion. Simple as that. Here is what I would choose if I could slide two resources from across Fran Horowitz's desk. Rebecca Henderson's Reimaging Capitalism in a World on Fire is the top choice. It's more like a motivational boost to perform better than a simple business book. It's evidence that you can earn a living while maintaining your integrity. The second is the episode of The Future of Ethical Fashion from the Business of Fashion podcast. They have prominent figures discussing making mistakes, correcting them, and genuinely transforming their businesses. Real battle victories and wounds, not simply theory. These aren't about being flawless, getting off your ass, and genuinely bringing about change is the goal. To be honest, that's what A&F needs. Thoughtful ideas, not merely pretty words. So, in this slide, I'm going to tell you about my final thoughts. So, the bottom line then, Abercrombie and Fitch has a chance to truly set the standard for fashion ethics if they face their issues head on and stop hiding from them. Being in the trenches and having to make difficult decisions under duress is something I understand. I understand how manufacturing systems function and how to fix them with the correct mindset and resources. With bold leadership, strong systems, and principles that go beyond marketing jargon, A&F may completely change their narrative, not just another opportunity, but more of a manual for how to improve things. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out. I would love an opportunity to help make it happen. Let's get going now.